All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 75 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. I'm Josh at Real Fantasy TL. Got a special guest host this week. We got Andrew Hall at Andrew Hall FF subbing in for my main man, Bill, at Super Duper Flex. He's feeling a little under the weather. So shout out to Bill. Feel better, man. But we got a more than capable replacement in Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'll try to be snarky like Bill and give you some really grumpy takes here and there. People won't even notice.
See, that's all we need. We need a high level of grump, and then we'll just it'll be seamless. Nobody will even know. And on top of a special guest host, we have just a special guest. We got Ben Eby at the Ben Eby. Ben, man, how you doing?
Man, I'm so good. I'm excited to be on here. As I was telling you pre-show, it's my first show that I'm a guest on where I can like believe in my internet. Something could happen, but like 7 megabits per second now. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Starlink. Thank you, Tesla. Thank you, Mars Trip. Whatever it is, I got to shout all of them out. I feel like I'm getting sponsored because I can come on here and chat with you guys and not really worry about it. So this is the most stress-free I've been on a show. So I'm feeling it.
And I'm not going to lie, if any of those, if Elon, Tesla, Starlink, anyone wants to sponsor us,
let's get it.
We're open. Hit the email. You already know what it is. I don't have to tell you because you're Elon Musk. You'll find it.
DMs open.
And we'll be more than happy. But Ben knows powerful people, gets himself the real good internet, and we're gonna fly through this episode. So we're gonna start with the news, a couple little small signings, and then we're gonna go with something very interesting that just popped off on Twitter today. But first of all, as we all knew, Gio Bernard got cut by the Bengals, and then immediately was signed by the Bucks. It seemed like this was something that Tom Brady wanted. He must like Gio. He must have just seen him around and said, I like what he does. Get him over here. And they got him over here. So I just want a quick, what do you guys think? Because now it's like, what that backfield is. Keyshawn Vaughn last week, Bruce Arians was like, he's gonna get more. He's gonna get an expanded role. We still have Leonard Fournette. We still have Rojo. Now we have Gio. Oh no! I mean, just so. Ben, since you're the guest, we'll start with you. But how do you feel about Gio, man?
Yeah, I left Gio in the dust like 4 or 5 years ago, to keep it real. Gio is a great football player, a great player to have on a winning team. And I think he really fits into that Bucks, system that they got going on. I think he'll come in, he'll do what's asked. He's, he has a great skill set receiving out of the backfield. If he needs to step in and take the ball between the tackles, he can do that. Now, from a fantasy aspect, this doesn't make any difference to me unless, you are still a Keyshawn Vaughn truther and you were like, it's going to be sometime soon. Like, if the signs didn't hit you yet, then that should smack you in the mouth right now. Like, it's over. It's a wrap. Keyshawn is like, he's done, man. Like, he is just going to be a dude. And so move on. Go after someone else. There's plenty of other people probably on your waiver wire. If you could trade them for a fourth, a fifth, if you're doing 5th round rookie picks, I would take it. I'll just get out, sell it, whatever. You're probably going to have to just drop them. But Gio is not going to do anything fantasy-wise, so it's nothing. I like Seahawks. My Seahawks were trying to pick up Gio too. Like, there was rumors they were out reaching out to him. So, I think he's just a great football player. He's not someone that's going to be fantasy relevant. Maybe a game if, 4 people in front of him get hurt or something. But outside of that, it's not big news to me. It just makes sense for a team coming off a Super Bowl. It's a affordable signing, and I think Tom Brady probably said yeah because there's a lot of similarities with him and a James White type player. With White going back to New England, and there you have it. Gio's the dude.
All right, Andrew. What about you? You have any more faith in Gio than Ben does?
Apparently, because it sounds like Ben has zero faith in Gio. I've got one faith in Gio, right? I've got a little. I think Gio is the kind of guy in fantasy is a perfect roster clogger, but at the same time, he ends up in your flex once a year, right? He's one of those guys that when you're in bye week hell and you've got injuries to your line, you're like, you know what? I'll throw Gio in there. He might catch 4 passes for 50 yards. It's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what you're going to get with that guy. I also think last year with the way Mixon got hurt, Gio actually had some value. So there are a lot of people, I'm sure, that have him. I mean, he's rostered, right? He's not going to be on waivers. So especially in dynasty leagues that go 25, 30, 35 people deep. I mean, Gio's on a team somewhere. I think this probably helps his value in a sort of little way where if you had Gio and he gets cut and then signs immediately, like you said, to the Bucks, I mean, you're not trading him. You're going to hold. You're going to see what you got. Like, you might as well. But I don't think he's a target. He's not somebody I'm going out to get, right? To kind of hit Ben's point. Like, he's just a dude. I got plenty of those guys already on my roster, and it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to trade one of my just a dudes for that just a dude on someone. I mean, it's a nothing trade. But there is something I wanted to hit on here, Ben. You hit on the nail on the head there. Keyshawn Vaughn was never a thing to me. I never really dug the hype. You're a little bit deeper into the Devy class. What were your thoughts when Keyshawn came out? Like, were you high on him? Were you low on him? I mean, is this a change, I guess, or is this what you expected through his entire time here?
So as a former and current coach, I think for me, I put a lot into the mental side of the game. And I think there was a lot of red flags for Vaughn coming out, work ethic issues. Yep. And there's a lot of, let me put this out there. There's a lot of bullshit out there when it comes to saying work ethic issues. But if you actually dug in on Keyshawn Vaughn, there was a track record of some issues and you could actually see him on the field. So one thing that I really look for as a, I'm not a certified scout. I'm a guy that looks for ballers and I'm a guy that's not an analytics dude. So I'm like, if this guy can ball, he can ball. If this guy can ball, now I'm going to see how do his teammates respond to him. And you saw a lot of like, I don't know, like Vaughn kind of looked blown off in a lot of times, and he was productive in a lot of games in college, but he also got blown off a lot by his teammates, just body language wise. So to me, like that's a red flag out of the gates for whatever reason, unless a dude is just like so far ahead of everybody talent wise, but he's a little bit older, all that stuff. So I was a big, Ronald Jones fan as well. I felt like he was eventually going to, at least have some sort of relevance. I didn't know if it was going to be to the point it actually hit. That was great. But so Vaughn, no, he was not somebody that was ever really high on my list, bouncing around colleges, having some of the work ethic issues, seeing how his teammates responded to him. Then right out of the gates, he was like in the doghouse because there was a rumor. And this is actually from one of my friends who's a scout who said he got caught by Bruce Arians for lying that he had already read the playbook and they called him out and he didn't know. So I heard that like right around draft time and I was like there was no chance for me. I was cool. Like you could have had him fall to 302 for me and I was not touching it. Like I'm good.
Well, we all saw the hype though. Everybody was hyping him up.
He was going back the first round at one point.
That was before Fournette signed too, right? So it was Rojo was the guy. They drafted Vaughn and everybody's like, well, that's the team telling us who their guy is. They drafted Vaughn. He's going to be the guy. And so right around that rookie draft season, everybody was blowing up saying they wanted to get Vaughn. He was going, I think he won the first round of one of my one quarterback leagues.
He did.
Where it was just like everybody like 107 or something crazy. I was like, no, I don't want that.
That's wild.
So I was like, yeah, well, it's a home league. You never know. But I'm just saying, it was one of those things. Everybody thought he was going to be the guy. And I never really had that faith, and especially with Arians. But to kind of go back on this for a second, with now Gio joining, that's 4 running backs, right? You've got Fournette, Rojo, Gio, and Vaughn. I'm guessing that's the order. But does that mean all of them are kind of off limits for fantasy? I mean, I don't know if I want any of those backs, to be honest. They're all going to be just a guys in a sense. Is one of them going to step up? I guess we'll have to see. But I don't know, just kind of a mess now.
Yeah, for me, I think if I had like Ronald, I still believe in Ronald Jones. He's a little bit younger. I think if you have Fournette, you can't really move him. Like you're probably not going to get you might get a third. You're probably not getting if you got a second, I'll be out quick, like no problem. But that's probably not happening. Ronald Jones,
no.
I don't know if I'd want to trade Ronald Jones for a second. I feel like if you could somehow have Ronald Jones as like your 4th or 5th running back somewhere in that area on a deep roster, like I would feel great about that because he is the type that I think could eventually, if he's getting like 65% of the carries consistently, plus some of the receptions, that's a dude that I still love his talent, man. And I think he's shown us last offseason what he was willing to do work-wise. He put on some weight. He looked like way more cut. You saw some tapes of his workouts, and they look not like some of these like ponied up workouts that you see where someone just throws it on there. It's cool music and they're just lifting. No, like Ronald Jones was going through it. And I really like that. And I saw, some tweets from his trainer and stuff. So I like Ronald still probably more than consensus, but I would want him ideally probably as my fourth running back. If he's my third, I'm probably pretty nervous. If he's my second, I'm out. I'm rebuilding. We'll go from there.
I just want to say, I honestly put this on there and I was like, we'll talk about Gio for like a minute. And we put like 6.5 good minutes on Gio. And Ben, I give you respect because you subtweeted all the people that were talking about Justin Fields' work ethic. And I love it because a couple weeks ago we had J Mike and Gabe from the Open Bar.
Yeah.
And J Mike and I almost lost our minds live on YouTube. Yeah. Because that was right when it came out, when sources were saying that, the work ethic. And I said, I saw that dude lose. He didn't break a rib. I think he lost the rib.
Yeah.
And went back in the game.
And he didn't go back in the game. He flamed Clemson. It wasn't like,
bro, man, he's whole new respect. I love Fields, but after that, like that whole mental side I was speaking about earlier, I'm like, that's my dude. Like, I'm praying that he does not go the 49ers because I'm a Seahawks fan and I'm like, I do not want to see this dude that's going to come in and he's going to have like, I'm a huge DK guy. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, y'all know I'm a huge DK guy. And don't get me started on people trying to talk trash this offseason again. Like, come on, man. But like, I feel like Fields is going to come in. Even if he just falls to 3, I feel like Fields is going to come in and be like, okay. Yeah, like in his mind, he's better than Trevor Lawrence. He's like, of course, this was the dude I was competing with coming out of high school. Like we were the top dog, like 2 of the top rated quarter. People want to keep saying Trevor Lawrence. Like I've said it. Trevor Lawrence is one of the greatest like prospects to come out. Right? There's a ton of tools. I think we keep overlooking his legs as well. Dude can run. He's an athlete. Yes. But Fields is right there, man. And if you didn't get it from that game, I don't know what to say. Like, and then if you talk about putting him with someone like Shanahan, get out of town. I'm scared. Like, I'm a little worried, man. Like, I'm cool that we got Russ. We're keeping Russ. He ain't going to Chicago and all that funny business. But like, I don't want to see Fields. We already got Kyler Murray we're dealing with. Now you're gonna send old Stafford who feel like he got a chip on his shoulder, and McVay can coach too. Like, that's kind of it's gonna be a dogfight. So, I think Fields makes that team a hell of a lot better if he somehow ends up in the 49ers. And I think the Jets are crazy. And Zach Wilson is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Zach Wilson. But for me, it's been no question the whole time. Like, Fields is that dude over Wilson. Like, no question.
I agree. I'm going to keep saying it. And people are going to laugh at me just like they laughed at me last year when I said Justin Herbert should have been your 103 in Superflex. Zach Wilson is QB4 in this class. I'm going to keep saying it until people
behind Trey Lance then too.
Trey Lance.
Yeah. Trey I like Lance it. The ceiling, man. That's an elite seeker statement right there. That's it. I can dig it. That is an elite seeker statement. Like, if you want to look in the first 3 months of the season, cool. But if you look in career, I don't hate it at all.
It doesn't matter where Lance lands, though. I'm worried that if he lands somewhere like somewhere like just that there's no development, where like an Adam Gase offense, like the Jets, obviously they're rebuilding. Like if he goes somewhere where he can't really get his footing, I'm worried that the ceiling won't be reachable, right? So like, yes, he's got a high ceiling, but if he's going to stumble out of the gate and lose his confidence, and then they draft another quarterback next year, like the ceiling doesn't matter if you can't get up from the ground, right? Yeah. So like I hear exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you, Josh. I think Lance is right there with me with Wilson, and I've kind of flip-flopped on them all over this offseason. And I mean, Fields and Lawrence are a tier of their own, but those two are right there, and kind of depending on the day. But I think I'm with you that Lance has a terrific ceiling, but it makes me nervous when someone who's that developmental, I guess, if he gets in the wrong spot where like a coach is on his last year and they just don't care, and hell, it goes to Chicago and he's ruined. You know what I mean? Like something like that, where it's just like, oh damn, he's such potential. That's what makes me nervous. We'll know in a month, but now we don't know.
We will know in a month. And the draft is a crazy thing, because for as much as we look into it and we look at guys and we look at teams and we look at mocks and we listen to scouts and all these guys, every year, I mean, last year it was CeeDee Lamb, like 17 to Dallas. Nobody mocked that. I mean, and there's it's not just that move, but there's a 10 of those moves in every draft where you're like, I didn't expect this to happen here. But if we kind of,
right, like, Jesus, are you kidding me? Like Jordan, nobody saw that. I don't even think Jordan Love knew that was coming. Like, that was a crazy pick. So yeah, that's going to happen this year too. Something nuts is going to happen. Yeah,
but if we look at Trey Lance and we can go crazy on both sides of the spectrum. Say he gets taken at 2, we'll go crazy good on that side first. I think bringing in the Shanahan offense, which is what they've done in New York with the Jets.
That's the plan,
I think that's a good thing. I mean, I don't think he's starting day one, but I don't think no matter where he goes, barring an injury, he's starting day one. So he's going to sit, and I think what they're going to do there is, they're going to build him up. Salah and those guys, they seem like they're smart. They seem like they know what they're doing, but it's the Jets. You always have to have that fear. But if he goes 4 to Atlanta and he has a couple years in that Arthur Smith offense, which I think Arthur Smith is actually a good offensive. He's a good offensive mind. I don't know what he's going to be as a head coach, but I think he's a good offensive mind. He looked at what he had. He said, King Henry, you got to run it a ton, but we're going to make Ryan Tannehill super efficient. We're going to keep him kind of in his lane, in his zone. We're not going to make him try to be the center of the offense. And we've seen, I mean, don't get me wrong, Tennessee is not an offense that you brag about, but Tennessee is an offense that wins, and they get there. And traits-wise, Ryan Tannehill and Trey Lance are not the same guy. Trey Lance has a lot of, he can reach elite level on a lot of his traits. But what if he let's say he goes lower. Let's say he goes to Detroit at 7. Well, we can say what we want about Anthony Lynn as a head coach, but Anthony Lynn as an offensive mind, I mean, we saw what happened with Justin Herbert, which people weren't really high on even during the draft process. They were kind of like,
even week 1.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is elite. Tua's elite. Justin Herbert, he's good. He's got some traits. Nobody was like, and Justin Herbert's elite too. And then we see what happens in the Anthony Lynn offense, and it's like, Justin Herbert is pretty damn good. So if we can kind of put Trey Lance and see what an offensive mind like Anthony Lynn has to do, I think, yes, he could land in a bad spot, but I almost think a bad spot is going to have to trade up to get him. So, that.
Well, I'm with you. And I guess if they're drafting early, they're a bad team, but you would see a lot. Again, there are just so many different what ifs. I wasn't negating the idea. He does have a terrific ceiling. I do really like him, especially in fantasy, because I think he's got that kind of potential. But anytime you're up, 2 weeks before the draft, that's all speculation, right? And let's say he goes to Dallas. That's not a good spot. Right? Dak's going to be there. Right. So shit, you know what I mean? Though, like there are some of those spots like Cincinnati in the second, like, what are you doing? Like we've seen teams do dumb stuff, right? Those are bad spots. And I don't think it's likely, but geez.
We talk about Dallas, but guess what? The Giants are right after that. The Giants have been known to just do some crazy stuff. They don't follow mocks and big boards and all that stuff.
Nope.
And then after that is Philly. And as much as people are saying, Philly's not going to take quarterback, they've committed to Jalen
Lance
Hurts.
Is there at 12?
But if Trey Lance is there at 12,
yeah,
Philly needs to have that real conversation and say, all right, this is not a guy we thought was going to be there. Is this a guy we want to?
Even without Hurts, is that a good spot for a quarterback right now? You know what I mean? Like there's some question marks on that offense in general. Right? We've gone down a good rabbit hole, but I'm just saying, like in general, I do like Lance, but I just want to see where he lands. I hate to say that because it's kind of a cop out, but I think him more than anyone else, it is very landing spot dependent. He could be QB2 in the right landing spot and QB7 in the wrong one. You know what I mean?
So what do you guys think? What do you like? And this is where I personally think he's going to go up. Whether they might trade up a little bit for it, I just could see it, or if he falls. New England, go behind Cam for a year. I just feel like I think like Coach Bill Belichick was like, let me bring in Cam, see if I can like spark some of that old flame. Didn't happen. He really had he was screwed. He had no playmakers around him, man. Like he had like the skeletons of playmakers around him. But you bring in Trey Lance, and obviously we've seen what they do. Like they didn't go out and get a bunch of studs, but like they got some reliable dudes that are going to be healthy. So I think they'll be better than last year as far as playmaking. I'm not excited by any means, but it feels like a setup where they're coming in and they can just go and get a dude like Trey Lance,
like sneak in,
and come in and steal him for next year, and just sit him for a year behind Cam. Cam Cam has some amazing leadership qualities to him.
Mhm.
He's an ultimate competitor. He's a pro's pro now. He's been through the goods, the bads, all of it. So imagine those like that relationship that could be there for a Trey Lance that's coming from a smaller college, and it could be big. So that's where I think
For sure.
I don't like the Patriots and I don't want to see it happen, but like it feels like hey, Bill's like, let me find my dude. He might not be a typical Bill Belichick dude, but I think that's what Bill wants he doesn't want the next Tom Brady. He wants to show Tom Brady, hey, I can win without you and with a totally different style.
Well, and I'll end on this. I don't know if you guys saw the last mock draft that Mel Kiper put out, but he actually had the Patriots trading up to 10 with Dallas to grab Fields, who was somehow still on the board. So
yeah, that ain't happening. He's drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad mock.
I agree with you on that, but maybe that trade works out.
Trey
But
Lance.
it's Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's totally in the realm right there for me.
Because I think depending on how things go, I think Dallas, being a fan and kind of reading and following beat writers, they have a big four, and all of those guys can be gone. It's Sewell, Slater, Surtain, and Pitts. And at 10, they could get wiped out. And then if New England comes calling, Trey Lance is still sitting there at 10, they go, yeah, we'll back down to 15 and maybe get a J.C. Horn, work on our defense a little bit at 15, pick up whatever they pick up and move on. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of good discussion. We'll go quicker on this next one. You could tell me if you like it or don't with James Conner signing with the Cards. Is that a like or a dislike for you guys?
That's gross.
We got it. That's gross. Andrew,
I was gonna just nothing. Like just
yeah, man.
Sure. All right. They needed a running back. He needed a job. I guess it made sense, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is one of these things where for right now it's like whatever.
Yeah.
If somehow the Cardinals go through the draft and they don't pick up one of those big three that we've been talking about, Najee, Etienne, or Javante, then maybe we go, okay, all right, now we've made it through this process, and maybe they pick up a guy in the fifth, but that's not really a thing. But right now, I mean, James Conner doesn't prevent the Cardinals from trying to snag one of those guys, and until they don't snag one of those guys, it's just kind of like, I mean, if you want to try to, maybe beat that possibility, maybe you offer, a third now for Conner and say, hey, he might get beat out, take this third, but he's not a guy I would go after personally.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, this would be one of those roster cloggers that maybe you go out, and I probably wouldn't do a third at this point. I would, because I love, obviously I'm the Debbie guy, so I love too many people, but I love a lot of dudes in the third round. So I would probably go after it. But I think with all the Edmonds hype and the Edmonds chatter on Twitter and wherever you want to look, and what Edmonds has shown us in little flashes, I think people are going to be scared if you have Conner on your roster. You might be able to throw a fourth out there on draft day and pick Conner up. It might be 2 fourths, a fourth this year, a fourth next year. But that is a gamble I'd be more willing to take if I'm in the gambling situation, because I don't think Conner's skill set has been an issue along the way. I do think that his injury history is really, really tough. I don't think he's a world beater by any means, but he could be a great guy if Edmonds gets hurt, and we've seen Edmonds have some injury issues of his own.
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to say the similar kind of thing, though, although to buy Edmonds, right? Like the same logic. Like Edmonds was the guy, Conner gets signed, and now all the Edmonds owners are throwing their papers in the air going, I don't know what's going on. That's the perfect time to strike. Go get Edmonds for a fourth, right? You don't even need 2 fourths in some cases.
Yeah, I'd probably do a third for Edmonds even.
But I'd rather have Edmonds, I think, because I think he's less injury prone. He's been with the team longer. Conner very likely comes in there as a backup to Edmonds if they don't do anything, to be honest. And I think I like Conner. Don't get me wrong. His story is amazing. I had him in a couple of leagues last year, the year before. Yeah. Terrific story, terrific individual. But I just think the way his career is going, it's on a downturn. And I think Edmonds still has an upturn ahead. So if anything, this is the time to buy Edmonds. And you have a very small window until those Edmonds owners or managers kind of figure out, you know what, maybe he isn't. Maybe he is the guy. Maybe Conner's not something. So now it's like that little window just opened to buy Edmonds. And I think that's where I would go. That's the gamble I would take. Not to buy Connor, but to buy Edmonds because he's going to play.
I like that. So I want to, before we start getting into the timeline, I want to run this by two very smart people because this happened on Twitter today, and it's between two guys in the Fantasy Timeline Listener League. So I figure I'll get your opinions on it, and we'll see where you guys stand. So our boy, Ireland's best, Jerry O'Shea at Jerry Shea FF, and Larry Monkey at Larry Monkey, the co-host of the Dynasty Hot Sauce podcast, got into a little debate over another trade that was made, not between the two of them, between two other people, and it was the 113, which is a bonus pick at the end of the first round for winning the Toilet Bowl, and Will Fuller. So the 113 was traded for Will Fuller. Jerry was on the Will Fuller side of this, and Larry was on the 113 side of this. So Larry said he would send Jerry a Will Fuller jersey if he outscores whoever the 113 is in the Fantasy Timeline rookie draft. Now, as co-commissioner of that league, I got to make a ruling right there. I don't want Larry to try to back out on a technicality. There is no 113 in the Timeline League, so that will be the 201, the 13th player off the board. Because I know Larry, he would probably try to, hey, there wasn't actually a 113. So no, I'm just messing with Larry. Larry's actually a really good dude. But so it'll be the 201. But if whoever the 201 outscores Will Fuller this year, Jerry will have to tweet every day that Larry Monkey is his hero and the Dynasty Hot Sauce is the greatest podcast on earth. Now, Larry, I don't know why you would make Jerry lie, because we all know the Fantasy Timeline is the greatest podcast on earth. But I mean, that's what he wants him. So you're going to make Jerry lie. You make Jerry lie. But I want to pick both your brains on this just for a couple minutes. Are you on the Will Fuller side here, or are you on whoever the 201 might be?
So, quick question to clarify here: is this Superflex? This is
Superflex.
Okay, then to me it's easy. I'm going with the 201 because you're talking about guys like Jalen Waddle's falling that low, Bateman's falling that low, Williams shouldn't be, but he has fallen that low. Rondale Moore, Terrace Marshall, one of my favorites, Elijah Moore. I'm going with that because like the Devontae Parker, Preston Williams die, and then Miami all of a sudden just has no picks all of a sudden. So I'm cool with that. Like I think Will Fuller could have some big games, but I'd feel pretty comfortable going with the 201 in Superflex.
All right, Andrew.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is this could be Trey Lance, right? This could be a quarterback, right? In theory, it's unlikely that a quarterback lasts long to the 201. But
I would say more Mac Jones than Trey Lance, but yes, it could be that fifth quarterback.
But I'm just saying that if we're making the bet today, there is that outside shot. That's upside. Sure. I like upside, right? Secondly, I mean, I exactly agree with what you're saying, Ben. Will Fuller, I think, has a really good chance to get some points, but there are other players there. The 201 will have a similar competition structure, right? Whoever it is not going to be the only guy. I am a little hesitant only because a lot of times rookie receivers take a little time to get up to speed. We see it every year. The 201 could be a guy like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside that doesn't do crap, Paris Campbell who gets injured, Jalen Reagor who just takes 8 weeks to kind of get going. But he could also be a Justin Jefferson that shows up and balls out. So like it really in this class too. Yeah, in this class too, there's a lot of guys at 201. And I've been trying to get every 201 I can get because it's got that 2 in front of it. And everybody's like, oh, it's a second round pick. Kind of, not really. It's going to be a first rounder who's going to fall.
A sweet spot.
Yeah, I do kind of lean the 201. I really do think that whoever that is again with that upside of it maybe being a quarterback, maybe if it's a tight end premium. I don't know if you guys do tight end premium in your league, Josh, but
1.5.
So even then, what if it's a Pat Freiermuth, right? Like it could be somebody like that helps out, right? So tight ends are a whole different ball of wax. It's not going to be Pitts, but I'm just saying like that 201 I think has a lot of upside, and Will Fuller has a better floor maybe, but 201's got a higher ceiling, and in a bet I always take the ceiling. So yeah, give me the 201.
All right. So I wanted to look this up while you guys were talking because I didn't think about this to right now. I didn't even know who had the 201 in the listener league. So it is someone who has filled in as a co-host for us before, Drew, and he has the 201. So he actually, as not having to pay out on either side of this bet, has a lot of impact on how this bet will go. So when I first read this, and just like right off the top of my head, I said Will Fuller. I said, I like Preston Williams, but the guy never seems to stay healthy. Devonta Parker had like his one big year, and it really hasn't been there. Mike Gesicki, I think, is actually coming up. I think he's on the upswing. So that could be someone who could take weapons away from him. So I was like, oh, I think I'm going Will Fuller. And then I kind of looked into, kind of did a little bit more looking into it once the bet was made. I really wanted to kind of, and I completely had just forgotten that, hey, the draft is in 2 weeks and Miami is picking at 6 right now. Who knows?
Right.
They can make 3 more trades before the actual draft. But right now they're picking at 6. And everybody has been saying, they want Pitts, they want Jamar Chase. Their goal at 6 is to get a pass catcher of some sort. And it's got to put a lot of fear into people who would be on the Will Fuller side of this bet if it is Jamar Chase, if it is Kyle Pitts.
That's what I'm saying.
That
very possible.
That's what I'm saying.
That scares me more than Parker and Williams put together.
And you mentioned them getting hurt, right? Like you got Williams dealing with injury issues, Parker dealing. Hey, Will Fuller just had the most healthiest year he's had because he was on PEDs. That's why he was on PEDs. Like anybody who wants to argue with me, I'm at the Ben Eby. Come hit me up. Like, but that is why, and he still missed games because he got caught with the PED. So
he's got one more to miss too.
I just quickly did the math. In the last 5 years, his average is 622 yards per year. That's his average. That's with his 879 last year. So, like, you're telling me you're like on a year where he knows he can't be on PEDs or he's going to risk it again and then just get caught up in the first 3 games. Like, and he's got more competition. I'm not saying that the competition is better. Like, he's had Hopkins to deal with in the past, but he was the number 2 to Hopkins. But to me, like, Tua is a dude that's going to spread the ball. And has Tua shown us that he's Deshaun Watson and he's just going to chuck the ball all the way down the field to a Will Fuller, like, consistently? I like Tua, but I haven't seen that yet from him at this level. So there's a whole lot of factors for me that this is like, could Will Fuller win? Sure. Anything could happen. You could, anything's possible. But I feel really, really, really comfortable not even talking about who you could get at the 201.
That's fair. But just to clarify, maybe put a bow on it. DLF ADP has Jalen Waddle right now in Superflex rookie. Jalen Waddle or Will Fuller, I think I got to take Waddle there. Even like somebody like that, like he's going to go into a position he's going to be a first-round draft capital almost for sure, and he's going to go in and just dominate. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm with you. I think I also though I agree with you, Josh. My first glance was like Will Fuller or an unknown player. Give me Will Fuller. But the more I think about that unknown player has a lot higher ceiling. I'll take that.
Yeah, and my thought process was like Will Fuller's in Miami. He's the for sure number 1. And then it was like, oh yeah, but they have the number 6 pick. Will Fuller might be the for sure number 2 if it's Jamar Chase or if it's Kyle
That'd
Pitts.
be a really funny twist to the bet if it's the 113 or 201 is the teammate of Will Fuller somehow, right? Like that would just be a perfect little twist,
I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
They've got a couple picks, honestly. Like they could get him in 23. I think they have 2, right? They could get Travis Marshall at 23 or whatever. I mean, they have.
I think they have a second first-round pick too.
Yeah.
Like maybe they take like Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater at 6, but then at 18 it's like Rashad
Waddle.
Bateman or it's maybe Waddle fall, and then all of a sudden these are the guys you're looking at in that area at the 201 area in a rookie draft, and you're right, it could be. So that's very interesting. I'll have to hit Drew up afterwards, and if he's not watching, and say, "Hey man, you really you control this bet. Maybe I'll have to make a trade for that pick. Maybe I want to control this bet." Maybe I'll see. I know I have a couple second round picks, I think. So maybe I'll try to trade up to 201 and make this a little bit more spicy. But that was good. That was good. I'm glad to pick your guys' brains about it. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm pulling for Jerry because Jerry's a very good dude. But after talking it through, I don't know. So so let's go to what we saw on the timeline. And Andrew sent this question in before he became the host, but since he's here, let's talk about it. So this is from Andrew Hall FF at Andrew Hall FF. If your team is a middle of the road team with no picks in the 2021 rookie draft, should you try to sell what you have for 2021 picks or shoot for the 2022 instead, since the price of picks is so high already? Asking for a friend. So since Andrew's asking for a friend, and Ben, you are our Devi guru here. 2022, what's that looking like? Should he aim for those picks since 2021? Obviously, we're there. Everybody wants a mint for every pick. What do you think? How's 2022 shaping up?
Yeah, I think. Well, first off, I'll talk about my philosophy really quick. Like, I'm all in on if you are a middling team, even if you're gonna make the playoffs, but like it's gonna take like every other team to just have like their top 3 dudes get hurt for you to even have a chance. I'm blowing my whole team up. It's over. I'm in. I'm donating money this year, whatever. I'll match it and throw another piece to the charity, whatever. But I'm donating and I'm all out. So I will explore 2021 because I think every roster has a guy that some other team wants. Maybe like everybody overvalues somebody. So I'm gonna do my rounds because if I can get 2021, even if my goal is to go to 2022, I still might pay that mint amount for 2021 because on draft day I understand that that's going to be worth more than it is today. So then I could go and still bridge my way to 2022 and probably pick up a first and a second or a first in 2022 and go after 2023, which I love 2023, by the way. So that's going to be big for me. So now, would I go after 2022? Yes, top half. I think it's top heavy, but every single year, the first round's pretty solid. I think if you do your research, there's going to be values. And, I don't know if anybody was saying last year was going to be the class that just blows us out of the water, right? There's a lot of people that were down on it. You were able to get a Chase Claypool at 301 in a lot of leagues type situation. So you could get a Antonio Gibson in mid to late second in a lot of leagues. So nobody ever knows. So regardless of like what we know and what we see right now, a lot's going to change between now and then. So I would rather have the now pick because the value for sure I can guarantee you from today till the draft, and that's not much time, it's going to go up. So even if I got to pay a pretty penny, I'm going to be able to make a pretty penny or get a guy that I love. So that's cool. So I like that flexibility there. But 2022's got some studs. I think roster is going to matter. You got some good quarterbacks, very, very, very top heavy next year in the quarterback situation as of right now. Running backs, same, very, very, very top heavy. Receivers, pretty good. But outside of that, 2022 is definitely a notch below 2023, in my opinion, and below this year. So I'm not going crazy unless I can guarantee that I'm going to get a top half pick.
Andrew, this is Ben touched on it a little bit, but this is what I kind of like to do. I like to give people the illusion that they're getting a deal. So if I have a guy and, that person says, what do you want? A first and a second. First and a second in 2021. I don't want to do that, man. That's a lot. I like this class. I like everybody going on, blah, blah, blah. All right. How about this? Let's help each other here. How about you give me a 2 this year? You give me maybe like a 1 and a 3 next year. Like that's next year. Like you're not even worried about that right now.
Smoke screen.
Ben is telling you 2022. It ain't no 2023. It ain't no 2021. How about that? That way, a 3rd round pick, who cares? A 1st round pick. This guy that I'm giving you right now is going to be so good that 1st round pick's it's going to be 112. And then the person goes, man, 2021 next year, I don't even care about that pick. Like 2020, like I don't even know. I maybe know 3 names in the 2022 draft. Like I don't know anybody. All right, yeah, let's do that. And it's amazing because it's always like you can keep like it's like just keep getting paid. It's like what do they call that? Passive income. It's just like it's just these little bits of bobs that keep coming in, and it's like, oh, I forgot I got like 3/3. I don't even remember how I got that. Oh yeah, because I told the guy that all right, fine, let's push this.
Thirds are money, man. Great dart throws. Let's go.
And that's what it is. Like,
yeah,
you just kind of push it down the road. All right, fine. Like a first and a second is a lot this year. You got your because probably the top 24 players by this point in the 2021 draft, everybody knows. They know their mom's names. They know where they went to college, high school, middle school, grammar school, everything. So at this point, you're not finding a guy that no one knows about that you might be able to sneak in at the back end of the second round. Like everybody knows those guys. 2022, unless you're playing with, the Bens of the world, the Ray G's of the world, the Debbie Canes of the world. Listen, I'm in that boat. I'm in that boat, by the way. Like I know maybe 5 guys in the 2022 class. If someone's like, hey, how about this 2022 second? I'm like, I don't even know anyone in the second round. Go ahead.
And that's dead on, because when you make a trade like that, then on draft day, that second comes up this year. And now, like you said, everybody's like, oh man, dude fell. Oh my gosh, value. And you're like, you know what? I'm not sure. I got a couple guys I think it's going to last. Hey, my second round pick is on the block for a next year first. Boom. Now you just got 2 firsts next year. Hopefully you got to be, prudent and try to project where you think.
Right.
But, next year you're talking about guys like Spencer Rattler, stud quarterback, Sam Howell out of North Carolina, stud quarterback. We got Treylon Burks. If you like DK like me, hey, that's a big dude. That's a big fast dude, right? You got guys like Breece Hall. It's loaded in the top half right now. We don't know what's gonna grow and come out this year, especially coming off a COVID year. But man, that second round pick looks nice, and you might just be like, forget it, I'm gonna develop it because this year's second looks great. So I'm happy with that. I would even take a third like 2 years out if your league does that.
Yeah.
Well, so here's where I'm coming from with the trade. I feel like I want to jump in and add a little context because I think it's worth having. So this team, I sold my first and third in week 2. I sold my 21 first and 21 third for Zach Ertz and AJ Green. I was on the fence. I was like, I won week 1. I'm like, my roster actually looks pretty solid. I think I have a chance. So I sold my future to go in, made the playoffs at 8-5, lost in the first round. Right. So like I'm in that middle zone that nobody wants to be. It's like the worst place in fantasy. Right. And my quarterbacks were pretty much all aging. I think I had Stafford, Breeze, and Roethlisberger. And Breeze obviously retired. Stafford, I traded like an idiot for somebody before he signed. Right. So I was just trying to make some moves and gain some value. So I'm just sort of just spinning my wheels in the mud. So my thought process is right now is probably, if not in the next 2 weeks, the most expensive these 2021 picks are going to be. Right. It's like, would I rather buy the expensive pick now and get a year of production, or would I rather buy more cheap picks later and get like just kind of take a year off and actually sink to the bottom of the league? Because I'm in the middle. Nobody wants to be in the middle. So like, and I don't have any picks because I sold it really. I only have a 4th this year is all I got left. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is it worth having more dart throws 2 years from now? Because I don't think I'm going to win this year anyway. Shouldn't I, like you just said, shouldn't I blow it up? But if I can get 2 firsts in 2022 instead of 1 first in 2021, is that a better move? I mean, not even counting what good draft classes are, just in general, is that a good move? But also I figure with Ben coming on, is like, it's a Debbie kind of question, right? Like is 2022, nobody's looking at, and you guys have hit on all of that. So I think what I'm hearing though is to sell for now if I can, but try to add some future too, right? Is that kind of the general answer? Okay.
Always get that little throw in. I think Josh, that was a great call, man. Like the first and the second are like the meat and potato. Like that's the stuff that, on draft day is going to be crazy valuable. Now, you said it's not going to get more expensive than it is, over the next 2 weeks. Yes, it will on draft day. So,
well, no, that's what I mean. It's just going up. It's not going down.
So if you're getting it in the next 3 days, 4 days, people still, as much as we're saying people know the first 24 picks, I would challenge that. I would say they probably know the first 12 right now. And then they're going to cram the last 2 days because they're working. They got families. they're
I
kind
know a
of
lot
on
of
Twitter,
people
but they're
don't
kind of
even-
not. But then
I
they
know a lot
also
of people-
hear everybody's opinion and they don't know who to choose from. So they're like, I kind of know, but I also have too much information and I'm confused.
Or
Because that's the
degenerate.
questions
I
I'm
think
getting.
people are degenerates like I am, so that's probably my mistake. But
Well, I think a lot of people don't even start until the draft is over, or at least until it's happening, right?
Oh,
So like
yeah.
nobody's really looking now. So that's why I'm trying to get it now in the next 2 weeks. But
100%. And I think even if you can get like, I know you're wearing like an AJ Green jersey in your profile picture, so I feel you on that. Like that's an easy one. But like I'm going to get, if I can get a 3rd round pick, even probably a second for Ertz, but I might take a high 3rd this year. I'd probably do it before draft day. I wouldn't do it on draft day because to flip it on draft day again is tough. But if you could get it before draft day, I'll bet you there's a great chance you could end up with 2022 seconds, which then could maybe turn into a good pick or 2023 first. Again, you just have that ability to usually move up about a round or double up your picks and get rid of some of the dead weight that you picked up already. Even if you're like, this is way less than I got it for, I'm all good with doing that because eventually you're going to get nothing.
Yeah,
even
that value doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, that value doesn't matter. Yeah, it's burned. You know what I mean?
Nothing.
I agree.
It's done.
Perfect.
And
all right,
Andrew,
thanks for the advice, guys.
Andrew, another thing I like to do, and Zach Reed coined this term, and I love the term when he used it. I like to buy on credit. So if I pick up a couple of 2022 seconds in trades and stuff like that, and maybe I have maybe I have like a 205 in the 2nd round of this year's draft, I like to buy back into the first. Hey, you take my 205 this year, you're only moving back 6 picks. The guy at 112 may not know who he wants. His team is stacked. He's not sure who's going to be the best fit for him. Take this 205. Take this 2 next year. Maybe I'll throw in like a 3 or something else too and buy back in. And that guy goes, oh, well, there's still like 5 guys that I want. I'll move back 6 picks. I don't care. And I'm picking up this extra stuff. And I like to buy back in. I like, and Zach Reed coined the term and I love it. He says buy on credit. Listen, I'm going to have picks in 2022. And guess what? All them picks come back in 2023. So I can just keep buying on credit and just keep using the credit that I get in them new picks and move it right along. So I like to do that too, especially at the last 3 picks of the first round. I like to tap on those guys. Hey, do you know who you really want? Because you can maybe move back 3, 4, 5, 6 picks, still be in the second, especially in a class like this year where we're, a lot of us are talking about Waddle's falling. Even in Superflex, I'm seeing Mac Jones in some places go 202, 203. We're talking about the Waddles. I've seen Devonta Smith in some mocks go, them top 3 picks in the 2nd round. A Rashad Bateman might be there. There's going to be a guy in those first 3 to 5 picks of your 2nd round, and I don't care what league you're in. In every league that you're in, that you're going to go, damn, that guy should have been a 1st round pick. Why is he still here? And that's when you tap on the guy. Hey, listen, you're stacked. You could still get a Jalen Waddle at 203 or 204. You let me move up. I'm going to give you some extra things and keep it moving. So that's another thing that I like to do. But
I love doing that. Yep.
So hopefully we helped you out, and you can turn that team right around. But let's move on. The funny thing is that this Jerry question was on here before the Jerry bet was made, but this is from friend of the show, Jerry O'Shea at Jerry Shea FF. Now, this is a fun question, kind of out of the box thinking here. If the draft didn't exist and college players could go to whoever they wanted to, where would you like to see some of the top rookies go? So no draft. We're kind of doing, Jerry's from Ireland, so kind of the English style soccer where, whoever's got the most money can get the best guys. So where would you want to see, pick a guy and tell me where you would love him to go if he could just go anywhere he wanted to. Ben, why don't we start with you? You're muted, man. You're still muted.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. All right. I would go with, my man Russell Wilson was trying to leave Seattle. He's like, let me get some better offensive line. Let me get some more weapons. Like he's like, give me everything because I'm trying to go all in. So I'll be a homer on this one since I got free reign. And I'm gonna say, can you imagine a guy like Kyle Pitts in that system with Russell, the way he already balls, with a DK and a Tyler Lockett on the outside? Like that would be just scary. I mean, we got Carson back too, and people can hate on that and say he's old, whatever. Carson is a dog. He's a fighter. That dude's a 7th-round pick. He plays like he's on his last contract every game. That's why he gets hurt sometimes. But imagine throwing a Pitts in the middle of the field. Like, then you're what are you going to do? One-on-one with Pitts, one-on-one with Lockett, who's like got this psychic connection with Russ, or you're going to go one-on-one with DK Metcalf. Like, come on, man. We saw what he did to Gilmore this year. Like, none of those are really feasible options. So that would be cool. And I'm hoping Gerald Everett, he ain't going to be no Kyle Pitts. I'm just hoping Gerald Everett can be the best tight end we've had in a while. That would be crazy, but I know that's not happening, but I'm just having fun with it.
Hey, yeah, that's what the question is for. What about you, Andrew?
Well, I gotta say, with Pitts on Seattle would be, oh, goddamn, that would be beautiful because he's just such a mismatch. Like anybody, it just doesn't matter who you're playing. You got so many options there. Mine, I think, and Ben touched on this. I do have an AJ Green jersey on in my profile picture. I am a Bengals fan. We have meetings every month. It's terrific. I love it. But no, I don't want to say this because I don't want to speak it into existence. But at the same time, it's what I've been thinking this whole time. Najee Harris to Pittsburgh. I just think that team now without Connor, they've got what? They got Jalen Samuels. They got Benny Snell. They got nobody at the running back position. Ben's getting older. I think that team wants to run the ball still. And if you put somebody like the top running back in a top running back offense, Najee Harris could be the next Lev Bell, right? He could be like a top 3 dynasty running back in next year's startup drafts. I mean, like it would just be insane. And I think, and I've had some thoughts again, like I don't want to put it out in the ether because I'm a Bengals fan, but for fantasy, God, that would be awesome to see like a stud running back like that out of this class that goes to a perfect landing spot. There are a couple teams that need running backs, right? You got Atlanta, you got New York Jets, you got a couple. But, man, Pittsburgh would just be so juicy for fantasy. It would just be so good. So, yeah, I hate to say it, but that's going to be my pick is Harris to Pittsburgh.
All right, so Ben went with the homer pick. Andrew actually helped out another
anti-homer. Yeah, I went the anti-homer pick.
We're balanced now together.
Helping out teams in his division. I'm a Cowboys fan, and offense is just like stop with the offense. Like, unless Kyle Pitts drops to 10, then go get him. Fine, whatever. But besides that, and I mean, we're in the NFC East. We all hate each other, so I'm definitely not trying to help any of them out. So I'm going to go to the Super Bowl runner-ups from last year, the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, a big reason why they lost that Super Bowl is because that offensive line was starting like me and like 4 substitute teachers from Kansas City. But I'm not giving them offensive line help. I want to give them another playmaker because, they don't have any in Kansas City. Jalen Waddle. Just give them speed on top of speed on top of speed, and then let, Travis Kelce just do whatever he wants in the rest of the field.
He already does.
Right. So imagine a Jalen Waddle who was just taking the top off of everything. Tyreek Hill who's taking the top off of everything. And by the way, we always talk about Tyreek Hill's speed, but he can do everything else on the field too. But you just got 2 guys that could just burn and I don't care who your corners are, can burn them. And then Travis Kelce, and you still have CEH, like Patrick Mahomes just pulling the trigger everywhere. I mean, not that they need the help, but I figured, I wasn't going to do my home team because I really don't need another offensive player there, and I'm definitely not helping out anyone in that division. So let's go to Kansas City and let's just put strength on top of strength and go with it.
What's crazy? Like, one of my favorite late round guys in this year's class is Jalen Darden out of North Texas. Absolutely freaking electric. If you look at his story, like Dude has more motivation than you could possibly like write in a book. It's crazy. But that's one of the places where I could see Andy Reid being like just salivating and hoping he could scoop him up in like the 5th round. And you want to see like Darnell Mooney hype, with that fake Kansas City offense that they were trying to run out there with Chicago with Nagy. But I mean, imagine a Darden just running one-on-one. Like, you can't guard that dude one-on-one. He's little. That's cool. But like, he's electric, man. So that would be wild.
Listen, I'm glad you brought up Jalen Darden, because as a Cowboys fan, I'm hoping that the Cowboys, North Texas is right in the backyard. I'm hoping they've been watching that guy, because, listen, Gallup is going to be gone after this year. It's just not feasible to keep him around. Let's move. We'll give Jalen Darden a year to do a lot. And then let's just slide him, and let's just keep the 3. Keep the 3 going. So you brought up Jalen Darden. I love it. And, as a Cowboys fan, and him being from North Texas,
that'd be crazy.
The mean green, if you will.
Yeah, the mean green.
I'm hoping they have scouted him well, and they say, hey, listen, that's a guy we're going to pick, maybe even in the 4th round, day 3, let's do
that's what I was going to say. It's much more realistic that they get Darden, right? I mean, you were Chiefs even too, to be honest. I mean, like, I don't think either one of them really have much of a shot at Waddle, and I don't know if that makes sense for the Cowboys to take him at 10, but they both have a very good chance.
Anybody could get Darden. Yeah,
Darden could be like what he could honestly. I think I saw one mock draft where he went to Kansas City at the end of the 3rd. And I remember reading that, and I was just like, oh, that would be an interesting choice.
I mean, they jumped up and took a McCole Hardman, right? So, Hardman was a guy I was drafting as a freshman in Devi. Like, it's crazy. Like, I had him on so many rosters. Then I went through a couple years where I'm like, all right, I don't know if he's going to do anything. But I drafted him for the speed, the quickness, like the things that he's flashed. Darden, though, like, slow feet don't eat. Like, that's what it is with him, period. That's it.
When that offense works well with
scary.
Yep. And then who you cover, right? That's the whole thing, too. Because, I mean, Tyreek's going to start losing a step at some point, right? He's not going to be that fast forever. Deshaun Jackson is one of a kind. But I'm just saying, like, Tyreek eventually is going to lose some speed. And then you've got Mecole and Darden at that point. That's scary, and that offense is going to be insane if that happens.
Sure.
But, yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
And, Ben, the funny thing about slow feet don't eat, that's actually one of Darden's, like,
it is.
If you listen to interviews with him.
Oh, I know all about him. Yeah, I did a whole show on him. My first, I think it was my first or my second Elite Seekers was Jalen Darden. Yeah, and I'm all about Jalen Darden. I've been on him for a while. He's just, his story is incredible, man. It's inspiring. Yeah. He lost his father recently, and he's just putting on for his family. He thought about quitting football. His dad was like, no, while he was sick. Like, if y'all don't know Jalen Darden's story, go look it up. That's why I'm for real, not just the story. He's got the quickest. Put him with Jalen Waddle. Like, I think Darden's got quicker change of direction. Waddle's got a little bit more size, so it's more feasible at the NFL level. But Darden just he said, I wake up in the morning, and making a dude miss is like brushing my teeth. I just do it every day. I'm like, that's my dude. Like, I gotta go. And he led the country this year. He was leading the country. So, he's a guy for real.
The slow feet don't eat. And then making guys miss is like brushing my teeth. I have to do it every day. I heard that man said that, and I was like, I will pay to get him on the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry called me. I will figure out a way to pay it, man.
We'll do a GoFundMe, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, the people of Dallas will pay, because once
I could see, like, and it's crazy, I keep throwing out my hometown. I'm super homer, so I mean,
hey.
Y'all see it? You see my little Sean Kemp, everything. I'm from the Seattle area, so I live in Canada now. But like, man, if Darden ended up somewhere like the Seahawks, I could see that, because they took a chance. They were trying to get Dorsett going, right? Yes. We signed Dorsett cheap. Yep. We were looking for speed and just a third. We're looking for a third. David Moore is gone now. Josh Gordon out the league again. Man, I hope Josh Gordon finds a way back at some point. I've been hoping. I think we all have. But, like, I'm not going to – like, I don't think anybody feels like it's going to happen. So, but a guy like Darden or some other playmakers down the road would be cool. There's a few teams. Obviously, any team could really use them. I just want to see them go somewhere creative.
Yeah, so he's like one of my three like day three guys that I'm like really pulling for. Love Austin Watkins, love Shy Smith. Those are like my day three guys that I'm pulling for him to go into a good spot, make a team. Obviously, I think Shy Smith is the longest shot out of those three, but man, Jalen Darden, man, get that.
Darden's going to be a 4th round pick in most, unless he goes somewhere like that is really going to stand out, like the Chiefs or whatever. He's a 4th round pick right now. Like mocks are not even putting him in. He's not even thought about the 3rd. I'm scooping him into the 3rd if I have it.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, you better beat me to the punch because I'm gonna have a lot of Jalen Darden. If you're in a league with me and you think Jalen Darden is going to be around when you think he's going to be around, whatever you're thinking, it's too late. I'm going to have him.
And I like Eskridge, and that's a dude that's flying up in the same type of realm. But like, I want Darden over Eskridge right now. And there's a lot of people that are all like, you're seeing Eskridge go as late 2nd, and I've seen him go in a couple of late 2nd mocks, early 3rd. Yeah. I'm like, that's way too soon for me. Give me Darden. I like a little bit better, probably late 3rd, early 4th. So
yeah.
But just to put a bow on it for a second, just so we're clear, DLF ADP, Super Flex, rookie mocks, they have Jalen Darden 49, which is early 5th. Right? So like you're looking at the beginning of the 5th round.
Robbery.
I would love him at that value.
Man.
Listen, to everyone who is listening, if you're in a league with me and you think you are getting Jalen Darden at 501, I'm going to tell you it will never happen in a league that I am in.
So again,
I will buy back in, like I said earlier, Andrew, I will buy back in to whatever round I need to, and Jalen Darden will be on my squad. I promise.
So just to clarify, it shows here how all the rookie, like all the drafts and where he goes, and the earliest he was taken was 37. So like a full round earlier, right? 401 at that point.
401.
That's crazy though. That's
and even
a steal.
401 is the earliest he's going. Yeah. I think honestly,
once he gets picked though, and they talk about him on the draft, then everybody that hasn't typed his name in on YouTube, like the moment you type Darden on YouTube, it's a wrap. He just moved up 3 rounds for you. Probably. That's what type of highlight he got. Maybe even overrated.
I will tell people who have not looked at players in this draft, do not go on YouTube and look at a Jalen Darden highlight video. You will draft him in the 2nd.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
Second.
I will guarantee it. You will draft that man in the 2nd round if you type Jalen Darden highlight video. You will draft him in the 2nd, and that's fine. Like if you draft him in the 2nd,
I don't hate it though, because like at that point you're getting into some more chances. Am I taking him mid-2nd and I love him? No, I'm not. But I'm really hard thinking 301 and on. Like depending on who falls, there's a lot of guys that I don't love that I'm like, I could probably trade him for a decent amount. But no,
in the 3rd, they're all lottery tickets anyway, right? And if you got a feeling that he's got an 80% chance to hit, then you take that lottery ticket with an 80% chance to hit, right? I'm fine with that.
Him and Nico Collins, man, from anywhere in the 3rd round on, those are like the type of elite seeker moves I'm going after.
I love
on brand. I love it.
On brand. I don't care if I miss. I'm not trying to have no like middling team. And if I'm gonna have a bunch of middling players, I'm gonna have a middling team. So I'm going for it.
I hear you. So I want to try to get through 2 more. This one should be kind of quick, but we may spend a little time on it. So this is from AWL Sabermetrics at AWL Sabermetrics. Should we be talking more about Kyle Trask? Feels like the dude completely fell out of the entirety of the QB draft radar. Ben is correct. No. Stop talking. See, the problem is that Kyle Trask was QB6 for the majority of us at the beginning because we didn't know nobody else. We were like, it's the big 5. And then, Kyle Trask. I remember him from Florida. He was the guy throwing to Kyle Pitts. But now, if you have seen more people, and I actually got into an argument with someone about this because they were like, you're crazy. I have Davis Mills and Kellen Mond in front of Kyle Trask. So for me, Kyle Trask at the earliest is QB8, and even in Superflex, what is QB8? A 3rd round pick? Like, all right, you want to take Kyle Trask in the 3rd round? Go with it, have fun. But I have 7 quarterbacks in front of Kyle Trask, and that's just off the top of my head. I'm not Ben. Ben could probably name 3 more guys on top of those 2 guys that I just named.
I'm just proud that you said Davis Mills because that dude for sure, like this is the number 1 dude coming out of high school, the number 1 dude, and he didn't like suck it up. Like he had some moments, man. Like he could ball. If I'm taking a later round dude, that's him. Jamie Newman.
Yes,
Jamie Newman.
That's another one.
If he played this year instead of opting out with COVID, we'd be talking about him in the late first, mid first, I mean, maybe higher because he had the skill set. He went to Georgia. He decided not to play. You got JT Daniels instead. But Jamie Newman is a dude. Yeah. I'm taking him over Kyle Trask. Skill set wise, is no comparison in my opinion. So
yeah, like no, we shouldn't talk about him anymore. He is what he is. If this was the 1992 draft, I think Kyle Trask would be like a top half of the first round pick. But it's not. This is the 2021 draft. And
I did want to ask this question on Kyle Trask, and this is more to Ben. If Kyle Trask wasn't in this draft and was in next year's rookie class, would there be any different? Would he still be QB8, QB9? Is he any better than those guys? Or is it just because our draft is so top heavy this year, he gets pushed way down? Like, help me with some of that context because I don't know 22 that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's his decision making is an issue for me. His accuracy is an issue for me. I think he made quick reads to his stars, which is okay. But it's not going to fly at the NFL level. Like, what are they going to do? You play Bill Belichick, right? What's he going to do? He's going to take away your top 3 options. Then what is Kyle Trask going to do? Is he going to skip to number 4 and then that bum dude's going to pick him off? Or is he going to like go through you just don't see him going through his reads. That's my biggest thing. I'm looking for decision-making accuracy. He's not very mobile. So, again, I'm an elite seeker, so give me a little bit of mobility. I don't need you to go break off 30, 40-yard runs. I'm not looking for all that in my quarterback situation, but I do need escapability. Yes. I'm not very high on escapability. Now, if Kyle Trask ever ends up as a starter, to me, probably a dude or 2 got hurt in front of him, and he ain't going to be starting more than the rest of whatever season it's in. That's my opinion. That's my ceiling for him. So, can guys come out of nowhere? Sure, we've seen it. I mean, it happens. But I just have no belief. There's way more dudes. You guys already mentioned Davis Mills, Kellen Mond. I brought up Jamie Newman that I'm taking chances on. There's going to be those same dudes next year that come out of nowhere, out the woodworks that are there's definitely a ton of more talented people next year and the year after and every year. But I just think they'll have a chance to step up this year.
The only way I could see him maybe moving up, and I literally mean a couple spots in your rookie draft, is if he is a end of the 3rd round pick by the Chiefs, where it's like he's definitely the backup, but if our man gets hurt, there are weapons there. We have Tyreek Hill, we have Travis Kelce, we have CEH, we have Mecole. Then it's like, all right, maybe you move him up a couple spots in the 3rd or 4th, but besides that, like there's no spot that you go, let's bump him up around because he went here.
What about Tampa Bay though? Right? Tom Brady eventually is going to need to have some sort of heir apparent. He's from Florida. Wouldn't that bump his stock a little more? I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, that's the only thing you got left, right?
I think that's, if you're just talking about stock, absolutely. Now, if Kyle Trask falls to the end of the 3rd or the 4th round of your super flex draft, got to think about it, right? Because there's probably someone in your league that wants him, right? And if he does go, behind an Andy Dalton, a Tom Brady, any one of those crappy quarterback situations, you might be able to, I might get him to flip. But that's really like, I'm not believing in him in the long run. And I'm probably, again, there's too many guys that I feel pretty strongly about as a dart throw that I probably go that route instead. But I think you got to explore your options depending if he falls. Because no matter who it is, you love, you hate, the value is a value.
And that's kind of what I mean. That's too, what it's about. What if he goes somewhere that boosts his value?
Jacob Eason last year, right?
Yeah.
Jacob Eason, strong arm. I'm a UW guy, Seattle area, right? I'm like, Jacob Eason. I bought in on a couple of areas, and I'm like, okay, there's a chance. If he hits this pick and later, I'm in. If it's this pick and before, I'm out. So I think everybody needs to do a better job preparing, because I think a lot of us go in, a lot of if you don't have the time to spend, you just print some out right before you make your little cheat sheet. You pay your subscription wherever you're at, and you print it, or you just print someone else's rankings and you roll with it. And that's what we see. So people just got to do a better job and type in, like, cool, print that sheet and then go and type in each of those names on Twitter and look and just go, hey, do I agree with some of these people? Yes, no, okay. X this guy off or move him down. Just put a little arrow.
Right.
Yep.
If you literally take 2 hours and do that before your draft, you're gonna be a lot better off. You know, you don't have to
When
spend
you're
all
gonna
that
like the
extra time.
players
We're
you
gonna
get
do the
more.
work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not gonna hit 100% of the time, especially at this point in the draft. But Kyle Trask is a guy I'm just not that confident in. I think he's okay in a lot of areas. He's not great in any area, and you got to be great somewhere.
And use, you know, Ben brings up a good point, but also use that to your advantage. Andrew, you've been talking about the DLF ADP.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there are going to be people, like Ben said, they're going to print that or they're going to have that on their screen when they're on the clock, and they're going to go. I think you said Trask is 401. I think you said, if I'm correct.
He's 29, sorry, in rookie draft.
Oh, 29,
He's
so
actually
he's like
QB6. Yeah, he's pretty much middle third round at this point.
So
yeah,
305, 306 in that area.
Over guys like Amari Rogers, your Kellen Mond, your Tamorion Terry, who I'm taking a shot on.
Yep.
You know, Nico Collins, I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of people in there, man.
And
Davis
listen,
Mills, Jalen Darden, blah 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 blah. Right?
You know, if the guy behind you, let's say 306, 307, 308, you're looking at his team and he's a little rough at quarterback. I know this guy, maybe he doesn't do all the studying he's supposed to. He's an ADP guy. We know our ADP. Even in our degenerate leagues, we know the guys that are like kind of more into the ADP. Hey, bro, you know, how about you move up a couple spots in the third? You give me a third next year. We call it a day. Kyle Trask is off the board. Great. Was never planning on taking a minute.
Trask is the name, right? There are people that, like myself, I barely pay attention to college until the season's over, right? But there are still, you see it on SportsCenter, you see the name Kyle Trask thrown to Kyle Pitts, and you're like, oh, okay, Trask must be good. It just gets stuck in your head and just sort of marinates. And that doesn't end up making it true, but it's just a name. And in the third round, when I first started Dynasty, I can't tell you how many players where I was like, I have no idea who this is, but I need a quarterback, so I guess I've heard the name, right? And I mean, especially in home leagues and the non-degenerate leagues, you know, the people that aren't crazy like us talking about this on a Wednesday night, right? We're before the draft. There are others that don't care at all until it rolls. Oh, draft is tomorrow. Okay. And they see Kyle Trask and they're like, how is he still available? And they take him in the second. You're just like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Like, so, I mean, it happens every year. Yeah.
And people draft, you know, there's a term, you know, because I love the actual NFL draft itself. I'm a big draft head, draft geek, whatever you want to call it. And some people, you know, in scouts call it scouting the helmet, where you just, we do it with Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields can't be good because Ohio State never has had a good quarterback in the NFL ever. We scout the helmet. We don't scout the player. But we do that in Dynasty too. In our rookie drafts, we see Florida next to Kyle Trask's name. That's an SEC school. That's big time talent. They play big time play. And then we look at Davis Mills and we see Stanford and we're like, and we look at Jamie Newman and we see Wake Forest and we go, and we make all these excuses why these other guys who are more talented shouldn't be ahead of. It's Kyle Trask. It's Florida. Look at the talent they have in Florida. You know, Kadarius Toney's there. Kyle Pitts is there. Like, this guy was the guy throwing to these guys. So obviously he had a part in what they are now. When it's really like, look, Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts. I mean, could have had me throwing to Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to be an animal. All right.
Well, and
so that don't matter.
Well, I was going to say, you know, Trask reminds me a lot of Haskins. Right, one of those players that just has a great pedigree, supposed to be amazing. Like, it's all this hype. He's throwing to Terry McLaurin and a bunch of other studs, and for whatever reason, he just, you know what I mean? He just he doesn't do great in his first rookie year, and now he's backing up Ben Roethlisberger along with Joshua Dobbs, and it's like to me that's a very high likelihood outcome for Trask. But Haskins went in the first round in almost every single Superflex draft that I was a part of, every single Superflex rookie. he even went in the first round of my one quarterback league because the guy's an Ohio State fan and he really wanted to make sure that he got Haskins. There are Florida fans that are the same way, right? They're like, I just want to have my but you don't have that with Wake Forest. You know, to kind of hit on your thing, to scout the helmet, it's the same logic. You don't have Stanford fans in your fantasy leagues. They're like, I got to get my guy first overall. No, with Florida, you with OSU, right? Those big programs, sometimes you got to reach. So Trask has a high likelihood to be reached, and it won't be by me. Yeah, I'm not interested unless it's like 4th round, and I'm looking at guys like him and like Shi Smith, right? Like Kyle Trask or Shi Smith in a super flex. I'd probably go quarterback there just because it's the cheapest you can get him, and Shi might go undrafted. I can pick him up anyway. So like some of that stuff at the end of the draft, that's different. So yeah, if I got the 4-10, I'll take Kyle Trask. You know, like,
of course, and you nailed it right on the head. Like, no matter what you think of a guy or their talent, there's a certain spot where it's like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous now. I'm gonna take the guy. Doesn't mean I'm his biggest fan. It doesn't mean that, you know, I took him at 406 instead of 306, so now I must be like the leader of the Kyle Trask fan club. But it just means that, like, hey, this is maybe a guy that should have went late 3rd, early 1st, in my opinion. He's still there in the mid 1st or in the mid 4th, excuse me. I'm gonna take him. You know, and that's what it is. So I want to knock out one more. Because I thought this was a very interesting question, and we'll be out of here. So this is from Jacob Anderson at Jacob ST 61442869. Jacob, first of all, come on, man, we don't need all the numbers. I got to repeat this. I got to say this on a podcast. Do the Jacob ST. Maybe throw a couple of 9s at the end of that, and let's call it a day. We don't need all that. This is a 1 QB, 12 team, half point PPR dynasty. He says he's a contender. Which side do you prefer? The 101 and the 102, or Christian McCaffrey? And I want to bring this up, first of all, because this was damn near a 50-50 poll, which is rare on the Twitter machine. But second of all, I want to hear who you guys have as your top 2 guys that aren't quarterbacks, because obviously this is a 1 quarterback league. I'm going to assume that no 1 quarterback league is going to have a Trevor Lawrence go 101. So, Ben, why don't we start with you? Which side of the trade would you take? And then what 2 players do you think should be the 101 and 102?
Yeah, so all right, Jacob ST 61442869. I got you. We are, you know what? I'm rocking with the rookie picks on this one because I feel like we saw the beginning of the end for CMC, and I don't want you guys to take that in the wrong way. I think CMC is a heck of a talent, but he is a talent that has been used heavily over the last few years. And I'm not an analytics guy, but I understand that if you give the ball, you know, to a guy 300 to 400 times a year, however you give him the ball, eventually he's going to start to break down. And let's be real, like CMC is a buff guy, but he's not the biggest. So if you just care about this year, cool. Like, I don't hate it. You can go after CMC. He's a star. You hope that he stays healthy. But like, we saw a little bit of that breakdown last year, right? We saw Carolina go, okay, we're going to play it a little safe with you. Rightfully so, right? That's probably what you want to see for longevity of a career, but it's also what's going to hurt your fantasy team. So 101 and 102, I'm going with Najee Harris because of the scarcity of running back. And I don't hate you in a 0.5 PPR. I don't hate it if you go, you know, another running back right behind him. I'm depending on landing spot, I'm probably more leaning Javonte Williams. If he goes to a great landing spot, one of these areas we mentioned earlier, say he ended up with Pittsburgh, say he ended up with Atlanta, he probably jumps an ETN for me pretty easily. But Jamar Chase is a star, and he's a guy, even in 0.5 PPR, that I have no problem taking. Like, everybody forgot just because Jamar Chase didn't play a whole lot of football. So, you know, we saw what he did with Joe Burrow. We saw what he's capable of. This dude's a monster. He can beat you deep. He can beat you underneath. He can run good routes. He can score touchdowns. He's a star. So if I can get 2 young elite stars in Dynasty, I'm going with that. Running backs lose value. Even CMC's already lost value over the last year. People are already worried. So if you have some, I would probably take 101 over CMC, which is a lot closer in my opinion. But 101 and 102, it's an easy pick for me.
All right, Andrew, what about you? The picks or the CMC?
Well, first of all, I got to say Jacob Street 61442869. My God, man, that is a terrific handle, and I will remember that. But I think I'm going to echo a lot of what Ben just hit on. But let's even just roll the clock back a second. Let's say we go back to last year and CMC or 101 or 102 and a one quarterback. You're looking at probably Taylor and Swift, I think, back then before the draft, right? CEH didn't get a boost until after. And now knowing what we know, would I rather have Taylor and Swift or CMC? Taylor and Swift every day of the week, not even a question. I think if you're selling 101 and 102 right now, why? There's no reason to sell those picks right now. We were just saying before, they're going up in value. They'll go up even higher once the people get picked. Because like I just said, let's say Harris goes to Pittsburgh and ETN goes to New York Jets. I want both of those guys, right? Like, are you kidding me right now? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we don't know. So why trade them away? Even if you're contending, those rookies, those are rookie running backs. You're looking at, even if you get Jamar Chase, like you were just saying, Ben, Jamar Chase is a stud. He's going to play right out of the gate. And you're looking at two very, very likely replacements for players on your team now that are not great, one of which is going to replace McCaffrey because you're losing him. But at the same time, I mean, this is the thing we talk about all the time. I mentioned this on Trade Addicts Pod when I was on theirs, but like, to me, CMC is the boat and 101 is the box. It could be a boat. Like, let's look in that box. It could be a boat, right? Usually I say pick the player, but you're adding 102. That's two boats. I'll take two boats, please, right? Like, these aren't 103 and 107. These aren't 106 and 112. I mean, these are the top two guys. And the other thing is, if you wait until draft day, what's ironic about this, you could trade, let's say you trade this and you trade away CMC for these two picks. You could probably trade 101 for Barkley plus at the draft, right? You could then have 102 plus Barkley plus something else for CMC, which is a ridiculous thing to even discuss. Like, yes, take the picks every time. If this was a month from now and we know more of what's going on, this trade may not happen. So the only way to get this trade is to do it now if you have CMC. So, I mean, again, to answer Jacob Street 61442869, I do think if you have CMC, trade this, get this two guys, two players, two studs for your one guy, even as a contender, no brainer to me. I'm shocked that it's 50-50. That's why I can't believe that there are more people out there would rather have CMC, the depreciating running back asset in April. Everybody in Dynasty says trade running backs away. They're worthless. They're always depreciating. Give me the fresh feet, right? I mean, give me the new guys entering the league. So, yeah, I'm surprised that CMC is technically edging it out, but it's 50-50. And wow. Okay. Good to know.
All right. So he says he's a contender in this. So I understand if you're a contender, get CMC, win the championship this year.
Can't you do that with 101 and 102 though?
But here's the but.
Oh, okay.
Jacob ST and a bunch of numbers I refuse to say again.
I'm not saying your phone number.
I'm not your birthday, social security number, whatever that is. I'm not doing it. Here's the thing. So my top two, different than Ben's top two, but this is my top two, would be Chase and Pitts. And we talk about tight ends all the time. Those top three are worth their weight in trade gold. You can't get Travis Kelce off of somebody unless you trade half your damn team. You can't get Darren Waller off of somebody unless you trade like probably a third of your team. Kyle Pitts is already coming in as the fourth tight end in startup ADP. Like, he's already there. So that guy, his value is insulated. His value is not, even if he comes out this year and has 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. Next year, people are going to be like, he knows the league now. He's been in for a year. Now he's going to eat. So that is not going down in value. So I will take those 2 picks and I will do what Andrew said. At the draft, I will be like everybody. Look at these shiny boxes I have. There could be anything in it, even a boat. You can have the boat. I just want Saquon plus. I just want Tyreek plus. Whatever you need. I don't know what you say you're a contender, so you're probably in a good spot. But, I need, let's even move it down a little bit. I need Allen Robinson, who for some reason everybody hates, but I need Allen Robinson and a first next year, or a first and a second next year.
I'll take Allen Robinson in your 5th pick.
Right.
It's
I was
it's
just going to
happening.
say that. Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
And
I'm gonna go get my pits now.
and we do this, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, how did this guy? He had the 101 and 102, and he got like Allen Robinson, and he got
Collusion.
and maybe he got like CEH, and he got like 3 picks in the second half of the first round. How did he do that out of just the 101 and 102? I don't understand how this happened. And people are going to throw their hands in the air. And now you say you're a contender, but now you're a contender with a CEH or an Allen Robinson, and extra first round picks, and maybe an extra first round pick next year. Like, and that's how you really do it, because I do think CMC will bounce back this year and he will be the CMC of old. But unless you're just focused on winning a championship this year, and you're not focused on what your team is going to be in 2022, and like Ben said, in 2023, when the draft is supposed to be great again, like, oh, okay, but that's even on my good teams, I'm kind of looking like, all right, like, what am I doing to keep we call it dynasty, to keep the dynasty going, and that's the thing, to get that 101, get that 102, wait until draft day, because guess what, we've said it a lot today, we don't know a Javonte Williams, we don't know what his landing spot's going to be. We don't know, where Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are going to end up. Travis Etienne is going to look really good if he ends up with the Jets. He's not going to look good if he ends up in Dallas. But as much as we say, people are like, well, he's not going to end up in Dallas. Okay. Like we saw last year, nobody said CeeDee Lamb was going to be there. We see, Daniel Jones, the year before that, he's not going to go number 6 to the Giants. Yes, he did. Like we see it every year. So until the draft actually happens, we don't know where any of these guys are going to be. Pretty much Trevor Lawrence is the only guy we are 100% sure we know where he's going to play next year. Every other player that we're talking about, we don't have a clue. We have ideas. We have mocks. We have educated people giving us educated guesses, but we don't know until it happens. So get the 101, get the 102, then kick your feet up for a couple weeks and just be like, I'm going to let this draft happen. And then I'm going to be shopping these picks. And even if no one takes your trade offers, right? Let's just say that happens. No one takes your trade offers. You can't move them for anything. Everyone's going to say, nope, now I'm sticking you with these picks. Andrew said last year. Yeah, Andrew said last year, 101 and 102 was probably like JT and Swift, or it was JT and CEH if you were doing this after the draft. Like, all right, like we slam on CEH like he had this like terrible season. Dude had 1,100 scrimmage yards. Like, he was all right. JT obviously at the end of the year turned it on and he looked like the animal we all knew he was going to be. Like, if people stuck you with those 2 picks, you were doing all right. You were fine. Your team probably did okay. So, yeah, take the picks, because you can either turn that into even more, or worst case scenario, you're taking the 2 best players in the draft. And that's fine too. So on that note, we're going to wrap this up. First of all, I want to thank Andrew for guest hosting on very short notice. I put a shout out. Andrew's like, hey, man, if you want me, I'll be here. And I was like, dude, do I want you? Let's go. Let's do this thing. And thank you, Ben, for coming on, man. Your depth of knowledge is amazing. I love it. I love that you agree with me on the 2023 class. I can't wait. We're going to be there. A lot of people much smarter than me have been saying it for a while, and I finally started picking up on it, and I'm happy about that. So, hey, man, in the 2021 draft, if 2023 first, who needs them? You don't need them. You just trade them right over to me. I'll be fine. I'll hang on. But Ben, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, what you're up to.
Yeah, man. First off, I just want to say I appreciate you so much, Andrew, man. I appreciate you jumping on as well, especially last minute. That's always tough. And, man, it felt like y'all been doing the show together for a while. So it was a good flow. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was a little nervous. I'm like, I haven't talked to Josh yet, and I didn't even know Andrew was jumping on. Like I was like, oh, he's in the little chat like an hour before, so here we go. But like, I felt crazy comfortable here. I appreciate that. You guys reached out to me in January to set this up, so that in itself just shows me like the commitment behind the show. And with so many shows out there to kind of weed through and decide, hey, you're gonna jump on this one or not. Like that was an easy decision for me. I'm like, these guys care, so I'm all in on that, and so I appreciate that big time. I would be happy to jump on anytime you need me. So feel free to reach out. You need someone gets sick, whatever. I don't mind. I'll jump on with Andrew, whatever. I got you guys. I appreciate it big time. I had a blast tonight. And man, yeah, you guys can find me at the Ben Eby. Just switched it up a couple months ago, kind of changing the whole brand altogether. And I'm rocking with Ray and Jordan over at Destination Devy. I'm really, really thankful to what Ray's doing there with the Destination Devy team and just building something special. I run the Elite Seekers show there, and man, it's a blast. I get to check out all these incoming high schoolers, and let me tell you, like if you're in the Devy world and you're checking out college players, that's one thing. But when you're having to go in and find high school tape and understand like all the things that I'm looking for, like I want to know how you interact with your teammates, how you might catch a pass and you're a running back in a high school wing T program that never passes the ball. That's a challenge. And, I'm thankful to be somewhere where I get to dig and try to put that knowledge out there for people. And I don't know everything. I just try to, see what I see. And if a guy can ball, and I'm going to tell you guys what I see. So I appreciate that big time. But any show like this that's just doing it, having good conversations, interacting with the people, I can appreciate that. So the fantasy timeline, I'm a fan. And I'm with it, and I'm happy to jump on anytime. So thank you so much. If y'all are into the NBA Top Shot world, we just started, me, Jordan Richards, Brandon Gonzalez-Cottrell just started a new show called NFT Block Gang. You can follow it at NFT Block Gang on Twitter. Same on over on YouTube. And we do live shows there. We talk about NBA Top Shot. We're going to talk about different NFTs. We know NFL is coming, so that football translation will be there very soon. But it's a weird, crazy new world, so we're on it. But y'all are rocking. Shout out to Alex Turner. I just saw the comments out there. Alex, man, this dude actually played football for Stanford, played with Zach Ertz back in the day. I met this dude on 2K, so that's crazy seeing him in the comments. But I've been rocking with Alex for about a year now. So, man, just appreciate you guys. So thank you, Josh. Thank you, Andrew. Anything I can ever do for the show, I'm here for y'all.
Appreciate that, Ben. I did reach out to you all the way in January. Just this month, April, I said it earlier, I'm a draft geek. It's really like kind of the first part of football that I got into. I mean, I've watched every draft since, I was 13 probably. And, I still remember vividly the Peyton Manning versus Ryan Leaf debate. And people hear that now and are like, that never happened. Like Ryan Leaf sucked and Peyton Manning is a Hall of Famer. But there were people saying that the Colts should have taken Ryan Leaf at number one. Amazing, but true. So I've been in it that long. Love it. So April's a big month for me. I want to get draft guys. I want to get guys that have been looking at these guys that watch tape, guys that do the analytics and bring them on and try to just educate the people that listen and say, hey, there might be people who are listening today that never heard the name Jaelon Darden before we talked about him today. And Ben loves him. I love him, and that's what I want to do. I want somebody to go into their third round of their rookie draft and they go, 305. You know what? Remember Jaelon Darden. I remember Ben, who's smart, was like, get him. And Josh agreed with it. So at least Josh knows how to agree with smart people. Let's get Jaelon Darden and let's put him on and watch him blow up. So I appreciate you, Ben. I came on to you last year. I found out about you last year. And after following you on Twitter and listening to what you had to say, I'm like, this dude knows what he's talking about. Like I get my rookie information from very few sources because there are a lot of people that just say a lot of things and there's no backup to it. There's no, you were in that club. You know, the people that we're bringing on in April are in that club pretty much. Ray is in that club. I mean, Ray is kind of like maybe the OG, so to speak, of like really putting that Devi info out there and getting on guys that like you weren't talking about. You know, Ray is one of the first guys I heard talking about Tamorrion Terry. You know, like and he doesn't just give you the Najee Harris. Yes, he loves Najee and he will promote Najee hard. Yeah. But it's not just the top guys that you've already heard of. You're getting your Tamorrion Terrys. You're getting those guys. And I bookmarked those tweets. I'm not going to lie. I bookmark them. And then when drafts come around, it's like, oh, 4th round. Nobody's even talked about Tamorrion Terry. Okay, I'm going to take him. And
it's it. Like, you're way ahead of the game. Like, and that's what made me join Ray. Like, I just got into the podcast game last year. I got asked to be a guest on a couple of shows. I've been doing Dynasty and Devi for a long time. So just had a lot of conversations with people and then got into the podcast game just by doing a couple of guest shows and then being part of helping reboot Dynasty Playbook. Shout out to Drew Dotson, who kind of brought that back from like 2014, 2015. And we jumped on there for a while and then had the opportunity with Ray, man. And after we chatted one-on-one, I'm like, what Ray's, I don't think people know, like, and I'm so excited for what they're doing now, but what Ray does behind the scenes is special, man. Like, this dude is crazy busy with his regular job. And a lot of people think that fantasy football is his regular job. Nah, that's just a small piece of the pie. And Ray's got his family and Ray's doing his thing with his family. Like, but Ray works, man. Ray grinds. Like, and a lot of people say that, but like, I've gotten a glimpse behind the scenes. And that's what's special to me and why I was like, I'm committing to what's going on here. And I would love to start a new show. And that's why I jumped on. So anybody that's out there, check out Destination Devi, not just for football, but they got a new show called The Black Box Show. And there's a whole lot of crap going on in the world and a lot of tough conversations. And Jordan and Ray are talking about that on The Black Box Show. Kudos to those guys because that's what it's about for me. I wouldn't have joined it if it was just about football, but when me and Ray talked, it was more than football. And Jordan, Richards, and me have had so many life conversations over the last year. It's crazy. We literally are texting like 40 times a day, probably talking on FaceTime at least once a day at this point, talking about life, Top Shot, football. Doesn't really matter. All of it. But those guys get it. The people that they work with get it. So that's what it's about. So connecting with you guys here, it means a lot because I sense that. I feel that. And that's what makes me go, hey, I'd love to come back on sometime or talk about life off the scenes. And that's what it's all about. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody, you know, that listens in, tunes in, because that's what this football thing can be. It could be something that connects us on so many other levels.
Sure. I agree with all of that. And another nice benefit is that you are you're good friends with my Dat Network brother, Dustin Church. So
yeah, man. From little babies, man. We literally grew up across the street, born in the same hospital. Wild.
Yep. So
we had fights in the basketball court, you know, in our own little, we had all of it, man. It's crazy.
Two guys that I really respect in this game. And it's so funny that they literally could throw rocks at each other from their bedroom windows. So
literally.
So that's a cool thing. But yeah, Ben, you are welcome on anytime. You can hit me up and be like, yo, I want to come on this week. I'll throw you the StreamYard link. I don't care who else I got on. You could jump on and we could do this because you've been amazing. By the way, NFT blocking at NFT blocking. I'm gonna put that in the show description.
Thank you.
So if you're into that Top Shot game, I'm not in it, but I know so many people that are that I end up talking about it like I am in that game. So
it's a whole new world.
So yeah, get into that. I'm gonna put that in the description as well. So if people go, man, I like what he does with the Devi thing, with the football thing, with the Dynasty thing. What? He's doing NFT too? All right, let me jump over and see what that's all about. I think that's going to be real cool.
Thank you.
Andrew, thank you, man. Short notice. You came on. You were like, dude, if you want me, I said, do I want you? Andrew was a guest in February. killed it. So I was like, yes, like why wouldn't I? I would be stupid to not want this. Andrew, you filled in. You were the man. Bill better watch his back. Yeah, Bill, I'm talking to you. Andrew's coming for the spot.
I don't know. I wasn't grumpy enough. I don't think I was nearly grumpy enough. I gave a lot of good insights like Bill, but I wasn't grumpy. You know what I mean?
You weren't grumpy, but sometimes we need to switch up. But Andrew, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, and what you're up to.
Yeah, so obviously you can find me on Twitter at Andrew Hall FF. I interact with a lot of people on there and have a lot of fun. Spending my time in between work things. Getting the day going. I like interacting and distracting from the stress of life. There's a lot of stressing out right now and a lot of things going on. I'm in the process of moving, so it's been a crazy couple of weeks. But anything I can do to talk fantasy and kind of distract my mind, it always helps. But I am writing now for Fantasy Pros. I just had my second article came out, I think this past Tuesday, I want to say, yesterday or the day before. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I've got a couple of them coming out with in May. I've got some mock drafts I'm doing for them in May and stuff, so that should be fun. And then obviously this coming season, during the season, I'll be writing for PFN, Pro Football Network again. So look forward to doing all that. And then just obviously just hit me up on Twitter. I tell people all the time, I love a good DM. Send me a trade offer, give me in some polls, tag me in whatever. I'm here to add whatever insights I can. If there's a different angle you haven't thought of. I'm also very willing to learn and obviously listen to the rest of the community. Nobody is a pro at this, right? Fantasy Pros to me it's a site that kind of is a little bit of a misnomer, right? We're all in this to analyze. We're not experts. So I always like listening to good, smart people like Ben, right? I've seen you around Twitter and I've heard a little bit, but I got a lot to know you tonight. And I tell you what, I'm going to be hitting you up for some Top Shot stuff too. So don't you worry. New pack dropping tomorrow, by the way, and when this is coming out, but yeah, we're live anyway. But yeah, so it's been a pleasure, and it was good to have a good conversation here. And Josh, anytime you need a backup, or even hey, if Bill's still listening, anytime you need a backup, if Josh is out, I don't mind being your third option. So that's fine with me. Appreciate you having me here.
Appreciate that, and I'm not sure if this was your second article for Fantasy Pros, but sometimes when stuff comes on my timeline, articles and stuff like that, I read a lot as well as listen to a lot. So if I read an article that I'm just like, damn, like this person needs a shout out, this person, I want to even promote more. And trust me, Fantasy Pros, they don't need my help promoting anything. They do a pretty good job of that on their own. But it's funny that you came on the show because not only did you ask a question before you knew you'd be a host, but this was my shout out. And this was the article you did on how to prepare for your 2021 rookie draft.
Let's go.
I'm going to put a link to the article in the show description because
Nice.
I read it and I was like, Choo. I'm like other people need to know about this because yes, Fantasy Pros, everybody knows Fantasy Pros. They don't need my help. But sometimes that stuff comes on your timeline, you just miss it. Listen,
Sure.
we follow a lot of people. A lot of people get retweeted. A lot of people get liked, and that shows up, and the other stuff doesn't. So this was a killer article. I'm going to put a link to it in the description so people can read it. I learned a lot from it, and I think anyone else who reads it will as well. Plus, hey, let's face it, man. Let's get some clicks on that article, man. Let's help Andrew out, all right?
Come
Hey,
say
that's
hi.
awesome.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work, man. That's a tough job right there. That's a tough job. So
Appreciate it, man.
Writers, I give writers all the credit in the
No.
world because I can't do it.
I can't.
I wrote for a little bit for
It's
a
tough.
local site in Philly, and I hated it. I'm just not a writer. And the
Yeah.
people who are writers and love it and just kill it every time, I have a lot of respect for those people.
Big time. Big time.
Listen, we're almost at an hour 45 here. I could talk for 3 hours. Talking doesn't bother me.
Me too.
Writing like 5,000 words is like a 2-week event for me. I'm like, oh, all right, 5,000 words. I don't know how I'm going to do. And other people are like, 5,000 words. That's it? Oh,
Yeah, I
Give
feel
me
like I
an
have to
hour.
cut mine down more than I have to add. It's
Right.
a problem. I'm more of a writer. I don't mind talking, but I'm more of a writer. I like being able to organize my thoughts and go back and edit and do all that kind of stuff. Add some research here and there, So yeah,
Yes.
but I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. There are definitely different types, and this industry
Res-
needs them all for sure.
And I respect those people because there's a lot of talented guys out there that write really well and put out quality stuff and do the research and, like you said, do the editing, make it look good. I don't have that talent.
hey, real quick too. Shout out to Lindsay Kennedy there. I see the comment there on the YouTube. And hey, she just followed me on Twitter Hey, she's out here in Alberta. I'm in BC, so shout
There you
out
go.
to any of the ladies in the fantasy football industry, especially the Canadians. Like, let's go. I'm up
So,
here.
so Lindsay, we actually got hooked up with Lindsay during the Scott Fishbowl Eliminators.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
She was in our eliminator, and other people have said this, so I feel confident in saying it. People who were in other eliminators was like, your eliminator chat was just popping all the time. It was just like, oh, people were talking, and what we did was we actually auctioned off our picks for charity. We told people,
Love it.
we said, listen, if you guys can get to $50 total, not $50 a piece, not total, we will auction off our pick as soon as you guys hit 50, whatever our next pick is. We'll auction it. We'll randomly pick somebody who donated. They make our pick.
Let's go.
They could pick anybody. I don't think they understood us.
Yeah.
They were dropping $50
Each.
a piece.
Dang.
We raised over $500 for various charities because we
Wow.
told people,
Let's
we're not
go.
going to tell you who to donate to. We want you to donate to whatever is on your heart. So
Even
everybody
better.
was just like, so we actually ended up auctioning off like 3 or 4 of our picks. Lindsay actually won one of the drawings, and she picked Devin Funches for us,
Nice.
which was hilarious.
I
so-
like it.
Someone else took AB, which was funny in June because like AB didn't have no job. So needless to say, we were out in the first week because a lot of our picks were but it didn't matter to us
Worth it.
because
Yeah.
we raised that money for various charities. We were and we shouted everybody out on Twitter because we were like this needs to be seen.
That
This
gives
is-
me ideas, man. This is my first Scott Fishbowl ever last year, and it was
Me
a
too.
wild one, man. Like I don't even know I made the finals. I'm like, I don't even know
Wow.
what happened. Like here we go. But like the people that you got to connect with and just
Yep.
figure out the charity piece. I ended up joining like I don't even know, like 6 charities. Like shout out to BFTG charities. They're doing it as well for kids. I joined a bunch of theirs. Got a DJ Moore and Jerry Judy jersey this year because I joined and ended up getting lucky there. But this hat too right here, if you guys see the Fantasy Football Fit Club getting shouted out, like cool thing. People just trying to be active, but it actually all like half. I think some of the proceeds, I don't know the exact amount. I think it's half, but goes to Right to Play USA. So just again goes back to the powerful piece to networking and connecting and giving back to so many great charities out there. So it's good stuff for the community. Love it.
So, and Lindsay is now in our listener league. So we have 2 Canadians in our listener league. So we have Lindsay, we have Steve D in there, both from our neighbors to the north.
Represent.
And Lindsay, I think Lindsay is low key hustling us a little bit. I think she's gonna end up winning this thing. It's her first time playing Dynasty, and
Let's go.
She was a little unsure, but I think it's a low key hustle. I think
she's hustling.
I think we're all gonna be congratulating Lindsay on a
go get it, Lindsay. Go get it.
So we'll have to mail something to Canada and show her the love,
the duties and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. I used to run international shipping for.
Yeah, you already know.
Yeah, so I'm a little scared, but thank you guys again. Thank you everybody in the chat. Lindsay, Alex, you guys were in. People were in and out. I was watching the totals go up and down throughout. Appreciate you. If you're listening to this in podcast, it's an hour and 48 minutes. I get it. It's a lot of time, but we're thankful that you stuck with us the whole time. Rate, review, subscribe, do all that stuff. It helps us get our names out there. It helps us reach more people. And that's all we're trying to do because we have killer guests like Andrew. We have killer guests like Ben. And we just want to share that with as many people as possible. So on that note, we don't have Bill here to do it. So I guess I'll just do it myself. We're out of here. Late.